There is a huge matchup coming this weekend, a Super Bowl rematch. The Kansas City Chiefs going to the Bay to face the San Francisco 49ers. Now, this is a matchup between a Chiefs team that's coming off of a bye. Andy Reid in his career as a head coach, 21-4 coming off of a bye. The Niners played on Thursday Night Football last week, so not a full bye for them, but they had about 10 days of preparation, which, if you can do some simple math, more than 7. So they should be more rested. They should be more prepared. That means we should get the best out of both these teams, at least the best that we possibly could in this game. Not that it will be the best performances of the season, but as far as the best they could be at this exact moment, that's what we should be getting on Sunday. The Chiefs are underdogs in this one, and that might come as a surprise to some people. They're 1.5-point underdogs. If you remember correctly, they were underdogs by 1.5 in the Super Bowl last year. Patrick Mahomes in his career is 11-1-1 against the spread and 10-3 straight up as an underdog, which of course begs the question, why are the odds makers doing this to themselves? Well, there are real question marks with Kansas City here, okay? They're undefeated. They have not played like an undefeated team. Now, part of that almost speaks to their invincibility, or at least the invincibility aura they have around them. With Andy Reid, with Patrick Mahomes, with the defense, I want to put Travis Kelce in there out of respect, even though he's having a down year. It's like the worse they play, the harder they are to beat. They just find ways to pull out games. They don't blow anybody out anymore. It feels like everybody is trying to take their chunk of flesh off of them. And maybe that's what it looks like when you read the final score and you read the box score. But anytime we get to these decisive moments, it feels like they're in control. And I know just a month ago, the Ravens would have won the game, but Isaiah Likely's toenail was out of bounds, and the Bengals would have beat him, but there was a defensive pass interference. My response is, I don't care. It doesn't matter what it is. In the Super Bowl, the 49ers are ready to put their foot on Kansas City's necks. Third down, I think it was inside the 10-yard line, 2-minute warning. In the fourth quarter, Spagnuolo draws up a blitz, forces an incompletion, that saves the game. Buffalo Bills, 13 seconds left, down 3 points. They march down the field in 13 seconds. It doesn't matter if it's a holding against the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Doesn't matter if it's a sack. Doesn't matter if it's a jet sweep. Something always happens for these guys. And the better you are, the luckier you get. So why are the 49ers favored? So many injuries in Kansas City, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. Is Juju Smith-Schuster going to continue to step up as your number one guy? Is Xavier Worthy going to develop? Is Kareem Hunt actually the Kareem Hunt that I think won Offensive Rookie of the Year when he was with the Chiefs? Is all this going to continue to happen? And their defense, as good as it is, has actually not been amazing. If you look at some of the advanced numbers here, they are 10th in, that is the offense. The Kansas City defense, funny enough, it's also 10th in defensive EPA per play. I love EPA. One of the best stats you can find. They get after the quarterback. They do a really good job at stopping the run. But this team can be gotten a little bit. It can be. And that's dangerous against Brock Purdy. I've been a strong Brock Purdy critic in label. Really, I've just measured him against his competition and what the standard the reputation he's been given by the national media. I hold him to that standard. When people say he's an MVP candidate and a top 5 quarterback, I'm going to judge him as such. And I've been labeled a Brock Purdy hater. My point being, I've pushed back on Brock Purdy in the past. He had a really impressive game in his last game. 3 touchdowns, no picks, some elite ball placement against the Seahawks. You got George Kittle going. That's good because he can be somewhat hit or miss, not as a player, but as a receiving option. You've got Deebo Samuel back. You've got Brandon Ayuk back. He's a couple weeks removed from a huge game, 150 yards against the Cardinals. There's a pathway for San Francisco. The biggest thing I'm looking at is the defense for both teams. San Francisco's defense has not played up to its usual standard. It has been solid, but it can't be about the 10th best defense in football. For this San Francisco team to be San Francisco, it's got to be a top 5, maybe even top 3 defense. Kansas City doesn't depend on that as much, but boy, would it help them with the way that Patrick Mahomes is playing. 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions in 6 games. I think he's 15th in QBR. Might actually even be worse than that. The defense is going to drive this matchup. What do I think is going to happen? Honestly, I don't know, but I'm betting on the Chiefs in this game. It would just be silly not to. With how many times they've beaten the 49ers, how they continue to find ways to beat every team in the league. Again, Andy Reid 21-4 following a bye week. Mahomes 10-3 straight up as an underdog. I just don't know why you would bet against this team. San Francisco has shown promise, and they have a much higher ceiling to get to, much higher standard. Kansas City's not looked good, but again, they're undefeated for a reason. They're the two-time Super Bowl champions, two-time back-to-back Super Bowl champions for a reason. You got to look at the Chiefs to win this game. Boring. Traditional, regular, homeostasis is boring. I understand. We want change. But the Chiefs are not something to move off of. They are in the middle of the dynasty. Patrick Mahomes isn't even 30 years old yet. And the great quarterbacks are playing until 40. So you got to get used to it. You got to expect the Chiefs to win for a long time. When I was a little kid, my grandpa and I used to pick the winners of every division, every conference, and the Super Bowl. And we would do this in the offseason at the start of every season. And he had a good run where he picked the Patriots every year, 10, 15 years in a row. And finally, I said, don't you want another team? Don't you think another team will win the Super Bowl? He said, well, yeah, of course. Of course I think that, and of course I want that. But the Patriots are more likely to win their division. They're more likely to win a game, no matter who the opponent is, than any team in the league. So that makes them the most likely to win the Super Bowl. It's brilliant. There's your answer for why you should always pick the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl until we see something different happen. They're not going to win it every year, but you're giving yourself a worse chance by betting against this team. That's what objective analysis shows. I'm not here to bag on 49ers fans or believers. They have a solid chance of winning this game. They're favored by the sports books. But I don't think this is the time you go with the underdog.